All right, so today I want to go over an action that I made quite some time ago. It's actually a whole actions set, and it's actually one of my most misunderstood and often very intimidating actions just because of all the layers that it creates. And people think, isn't that a little bit overkill for sharpening? And I understand where people are coming from with it. It is not necessarily an action for every single image. It's for situations where really delicate, targeted sharpening is important and you want some variability, right? So here's a shot where I feel that situation comes to play. Okay, for one, it's a pretty clear shot, all things considered. I mean, it was so bright that day in Aruba. I think I shot this at like f16 or something. However, the background, the water is still not as sharp, obviously, apart from the fact that it's moving. It's far away with a long lens. Okay, a nuke is sharp. The rocks are sharp and they have a different type of texture on them because of how sharp they are. The rock behind is ever so slightly softer, etc., etc. There's all kinds of small details that are important. Also, because the subject is relatively small on the frame, an overall, maybe a really broad sharpening might look cool on the rocks, but kind of mess her up because I wanted her to be like, still look delicate and soft in the shot, despite not the whole point of the shot, wasn't it? Her against everything, the crashing waves and all of that. And the story of how we got to this location and how I got these shots is for another time, because let me tell you, that was something else. But when I go to sharpen this with all these different layers, I don't want one blanketed sharpening. Sorry, I'm moving things around over here. Okay, so this is a situation where Texture Control Pro, which is what I call this action set, there's a bunch of actions in it, and we have videos about it. You can watch how it all works and how the secondary ancillary actions work along with it. We're going to go ahead and run it. And while it runs, because it has to do several things, I'll explain it. So I'm going to run it. What it is doing, it is not running an arbitrary sharpening. It is not running high pass. It is extracting using frequency separation techniques. It is extracting high layers, okay? That is the texture based on a blurring operator radius or a filter radius, right? In this case, it's using median. However, the low layer does not matter. That just gets tossed. We keep multiple different high layers at different radii. I always have trouble saying, is it radiuses or radii? Well, rather, I know it's radii, but I'm not sure how many people are familiar with that. No matter. All these different radii at different settings allow me to have different sharpening levels based on the actual texture of the image, not an arbitrary high pass, which is close to a high extraction on frequency separation. Make no mistake, okay? And it's definitely not just an arbitrary sharpening either. So now, here is what is set up, and this is why, over here on the right, all those layers is what people go, wait, hold up a second, I'm confused, right? Okay, I understand that. There's a lot to it, okay? Down below, we also have the low layer right now. This is all the different blurring operators that are options for you. All the high layers were created with median, but the low layers, you have an option of changing from median to surface or Gaussian. It currently starts on Gaussian. This is a texture management layer stack, but I'm going to talk about how we use it for sharpening. Okay, so let me show you. If I have texture low, which is an extraction at a certain radius, all these different high layers are masked with black, so you can't see any of it. If I were to invert the mask right now, you'll see it does a very broad sharpening based on the radius of that one, known as low, right? It's kind of a lower frequency, right? I'm going to invert that, and we don't have to use it. Somewhere in the middle, I believe that one's called medium high. Invert that, and you can see it's a medium sharpening, right? And the very, very highest, if I invert that, probably hard to see on the video, but it's a very, very subtle sharpening. There's off, on, very, very difficult to see. And then we'll go ahead and go to the slightly broader one. That one will be easier to see. Off, on, off, on. Now, because they're set up like this, there's different things I can do. For example, maybe I'll go back to the background or whatever and say, Photoshop, give me a subject selection. Let's see what it picks. Will it pick just a nuke? Yes, it did. Okay, fantastic. So I have a couple of choices. I can go to that, sort of medium, high, whatever the heck, texture, and then invert on that layer. And now I'm creating a sharpening effect on just her at a certain amount, right? From then on, a couple things I can do. By the way, you can compound this, meaning that if I were to use a white paintbrush on her at another one of the textures, I can compound two different frequencies of sharpening, right? I may not want to do that, but I can take the slightly broader one right here, and I can do this carefully or not. For example, one thing I could do is select her again because I have that mask, inverse the selection, and then now on maybe this one, I can use a paintbrush and sharpen the rock without painting her, right? And what's cool is none of this is permanent. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. I could probably use a really broad, just kind of sharpen all that. And because it's its own layer, its own amount of sharpening, there's a couple of things I can do. Okay, I'm not sharpening on her. Okay, I can, now that I deselect, I can change the opacity of that, maybe 50%. Make it smaller, right? If I'm like, I like it, but I want it to be a little broader, right? I don't want that tight of a texture. Okay, I can hold down Alt or Option, drag this mask into this mask, boom, and then just kind of reset that one. There we go. And now I have the sharpening nice and broad only on her. Maybe make like a 50% opacity. Why not? Excuse me, not on her, right? And so far, what are we sharpening? We went from this to this. Sharpening is always difficult to show on videos on YouTube, I know, but I went from this to this. I use a broad sharpening on the rocks, which was extracted or rather made from the extraction of the actual image. And then I use a tighter sharpening on her, so I don't add a whole lot of mess and noise to her. And I'm exactly sharpening where I want. Okay, you see how that works? Now the background is definitely not 100% sharp. It's actually in camera blur, even at f16 or whatever tight aperture I was at. It was a long focal length, so there's a little bit of separation. We can leave it alone, or we can use an extremely broad one perhaps, and add it to the rock on top, make it a little sharper if we want. We definitely don't have to do that. Don't forget, we're brushing in. We can use a 10% flow and just add some sharpening here and there, sort of organically, and just eyeball it. How does it look to us? By just brushing it in with a little bit of flow, adds a little bit of a tonal contrast to it. I don't mind that. Cool. So, okay, I'm not a what do you call it? A natural life photographer. I'm not a landscape photographer. I'm not a wildlife photographer. So I don't know that world very well, but I do know when I have shots like this, that different details of sharpening specific areas can be very, very useful. Sometimes sharpening a luminosity range can be useful. And you can definitely create a luminosity mask and add it to one of these sharpening. You absolutely could. There's different videos that we talk about fast ways to make luminosity masks. So many different options you can do. But this layer stack is not meant to be overly complicated for no reason. It's to give us quick choices on the layer stack immediately to sharpen different ranges, okay? There's another version of the action called manual that allows you to choose every single radius amount as it builds all of them. So you can choose sort of the spread that you want. If you figure out numbers that work better for you, you can run that one as well. But again, we do have videos on all of that so you can see how it works, etc. And you can see also how the low layer might work or how to use the paint layer if you want. It's just a matter of texture management, but it's great for sharpening at multiple variations, multiple extractions, if you will, to tailor in sharpening exactly how you want it. The idea is only for images that really warrant that kind of multiple sharpening, manual sharpening in smarter ways. It looks really great, prints really great. You're not compromised. I really want the rock to be high texture, but I want her to be smooth but still sharp. And I don't want a lot of extra grain and texture brought out in the subject. I don't want her to get too harsh. So yeah, you could do two different sharpenings, but why not have all these options to explore and mix and match and blend them in, right? Again, you can layer them. Don't forget that. So you run a huge layer stack. You get a bunch of stuff done. You can flatten immediately if you want, or just flatten to a new layer. There's your sharpened version and keep going. So with that said, it's still fairly complicated and still creates a ton of layers. So what I recommend to people is if you're like confident of your sharpening and you feel 100% good and you're done, cool. Export your shot and roll with it. If you're not, let me delete this one. If you're not, just leave this folder open. This is your whole sharpening folder. Save your file. It'll be a little bit bigger, but you can change your mind later on sharpening, especially if you sharpen one way for print and sharpen another way for, online or whatever the case may be. It's just a way to have ultimate control of sharpening, and it's actually not that difficult. I use two different, actually three. I use a layer for her with one radius, the rocks by her at one radius, and then the rocks behind her at another radius. I use three, but you might just use one. It doesn't really matter. Everything is set up and you can decide which ones to use, and you can experiment back and forth. And best of all, it is all flexible. So I want to kind of re-explain that because we do have some questions every now and then. And just to repeat one final time, it's not for every single shot. It's for shots where sharpening differently and targeted in different areas of an image, especially something like this, or maybe a landscape, is warranted.